Gardens feel natural, but they never are. Every garden begins with an idea, and those ideas come from art, from philosophy, from the way a culture sees the world. When artists change how they see nature, garden designers change how they shape it. This series explores the relationship between art and garden design across history, the moments when shifts in perception reshaped the land itself. Because when we design a garden, we're not just arranging plants, we are giving form to the way we see nature. By the mid-1800s, the world was changing at a terrifying pace. Smoke from coal-fired factories choked the air of London, and the rise of mass production meant that everyday objects, from chairs to clothes, were losing their soul. And in the world of gardening, this industrialization manifested as carpet bedding, garish, high-maintenance displays of tropical plants arranged in rigid, geometrical patterns like a factory floor. To the thinkers of the arts and crafts movement, these gardens weren't just ugly, they were a moral failure. They represented a human obsession with dominating nature through technology rather than living in harmony with it. The revolution began with William Morris, a man who famously argued that we should have nothing in our houses that we do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. He applied this same logic to the ground outside. At his home, Red House, Morris rejected the fake exoticism of Victorian parks and looked back to the medieval past we discussed in episode 1. He wanted honest gardens, places where the walls were made of local stone, the roses were scented, and the layout felt like an extension of the home's architecture. To Morris, gardening was a form of manual labour that could save a man's spirit from the drudgery of the machine age. If Morris provided the philosophy, Gertrude Jekyll provided the eyes. Jekyll was a trained artist who turned to gardening when her eyesight began to fail, and she treated the flower border like an impressionist canvas. Before Jekyll, plants were often plopped into the ground in isolated clumps. She pioneered the drift, long, flowing sweeps of colour that transitioned from cool blues to hot oranges. But don't let the natural look fool you. These borders were meticulously engineered to bloom in sequence. It was a highly sophisticated marriage between the architect's hard lines and the gardener's soft, wild planting. The arts and crafts movement popularised the cottage garden aesthetic, the overflowing, messy, romantic look we still associate with English villages today. But here is the moral twist. This look was largely a middle-class invention. They were romanticising the gardens of the poor to create an idealised version of a pre-industrial past that never truly existed. They used traditional crafts like dry stone walling and timber trellises not because they were the most efficient, but because they were moral alternatives to iron and concrete. The garden became a political protest disguised as a flower bed. The arts and crafts garden was a beautiful dream, but it was an exhausting one. These gardens required an immense amount of hand-weeding, deadheading and skilled labour, the very thing the Industrial Revolution was designed to eliminate. It raises a question about our own slow living trends today. Why is it that the more digital and automated our lives become, the more we crave a garden that looks like it was made by hand 200 years ago? Are we looking for nature, or are we looking for a way to feel human again? Gardens feel natural, but they never are. They are shaped by the ideas of their time, by art, by belief, by the way people throughout the world should look and behave. And those ideas are still with us, because when we design a garden, we're not just arranging plants, we are giving form to the way we see nature. In the next episode, we'll look at how the garden became an optical experiment, and Monet built what he painted, and painting and gardening changed forever.